All right, YouTube land, thanks for joining us. Today I'm going to show you how to set the zero stop on an Athlon Ares BTR rifle scope. This is the new generation 2017. This is the 4.5 to 27 by 50 millimeter scope. And there's one other YouTube video on YouTube on how to set the turrets, the zero stop on these turrets. And to be honest, it's not a great video. It's kind of blurry. It's kind of confusing. And so I'm going to make a video hopefully that clears a little bit of those issues up and makes it clear as mud. So I just recently installed this scope on my 6.5 Grendel. This is the second one they own. I'm doing a video review on this scope as well, which will be posted on my YouTube, and I may actually include this at the end of that video just for users so that they know how to set the zero stop. So this scope has not been adjusted in any way. This is exactly how it came from the factory, and I'm going to show you how to set the zero stop. So when you get it, it's going to come like this, and you're going to have the ability to dial it up and down to sight in your gun. And once you get it wherever it may lie, let's say I sight this in and it ends up right there. And that's my true zero for whatever distance you want it to be, 100, 200, whatever. The first thing you're going to need to do is use the supplied Allen wrench. I honestly have no idea what size this is, but it's pretty small. And you need to loosen the 4 set screws that are along the top here, which is a little bit tedious, a little bit overkill, being that there's 4 set screws for these turrets, but it is what it is. So you loosen these up. And one thing you can do, these turrets are a little bit mushy, one thing you can do is wipe down this O-ring that's in here, and that will definitely help that tactile feel a little bit. It's not going to turn it into a Night Force or a Burris or even a Bushnell turret by any means, but it'll help a little bit. So once you've loosened these up, you should be able to pull straight up and remove your cap. If not, you may have to loosen them just a little bit more. And it's kind of on there snug, so don't be afraid if it doesn't come right off. Just give it a good pull straight up and it'll come right off. So once it's off, I'm going to zoom in here a little bit so you can see what we're looking at. Once it's off, you can see that there's actually a collar right here, and the collar has this little nipple on this end. And if you can see, I'll try to zoom in even a little bit more. Right here, I'll use this, there's a little set screw right here. And what needs to happen is this collar needs to come around and be resting against this set screw. What you'll also notice right now is that this collar is up off of this silver surface. So the brass collar is up off of this silver surface, about, at least the thickness of my Allen key. You can see I can stick it in there. So what we're going to do now that this is our zero is we're going to loosen these 3 set screws on this collar. So let's do that now. And as soon as you start loosening those, that collar is going to want to slide down, which is okay, because ultimately that's where it's going to end up anyway. So you can see now that it slid down. It was up here, and now it slid down. Now all we're going to do, without turning the actual turret, we're just going to rotate this around until this brass nipple hits this set screw right here. Hear that? So once it hits that, now you're going to tighten this collar down. Retighten the set screws. I'm going to wipe this O-ring off, just using a little towel here. Wipe off the excess grease on it. And then I'm going to take my turret here, and I'm going to put the zero right back on line here. Sorry if my head gets in the way. I'm trying to just make sure that it gets set. And again, it's kind of a tight squeeze. So you get it down there. I'm going to turn it so you guys can see it. I'll zoom out a little here. And you can see that now the zero is set right there. So we're going to tighten these back up. And I kind of like to do it as if you were changing the tire. So you do one side, go to the other side, the opposite side, and tighten it up. And just kind of finger tight through. And it is kind of a pain. They say it's an easy zero stop. I've changed, or I've done much easier scopes. You know, there's a total of 7 screws that you kind of have to mess with here. And so the one thing I've noticed with these scopes is you do want to tighten these down pretty tight. Otherwise, with a high power rifle, they will come loose. I shoot a 7 mag, or a kind of a hybrid of a 7 mag, and after a couple shot strings, I make sure that these are tight, because they will loosen up. And then once they're tightened up, your zero stop is now set. So we're at 0. We can dial up as much as we want, or we can dial down. And now we're at 0. You can hear it. And that's the 0. The same is true for the windage turret. You do the exact same thing. You just pull the cap off. And actually, I take that back. It's not the same for this. There is no collar on this. You just pull the cap off, rotate it to 0, and then put the cap back down, and that's your zero stop. So hopefully that's easy peasy for you guys, and you guys can get it figured out. If you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the comments. And that's pretty simple. So I'm going to zoom in and let you guys listen to the tactile feel here of the turrets themselves, so you guys can get an idea of what it sounds like. So there you go. You know, they're pretty decent. They're not the best turrets I've ever played with, but I am overly happy with them. They do work really well. So stay tuned. Watch my other video on the overall first impressions of this scope, unboxing, and a range report. So thanks for tuning in, guys.